Invasive Mussels Task Force, which is a spin-off of the West Side Sacramento Integrated Regional Water Management Plan Coordinating Committee. And this first meeting, we just for a little background information, there's a project in the Integrated Regional Water Management Plan, project number 76, which reads the project would be the formation of an invasive species task force or subcommittee to prepare a regional invasive mussel species prevention plan and identify supplemental programs to be developed to fill gaps in existing programs to prevent invasive species infestation. And that is the purpose of this, starting this task force. This first meeting is going to be primarily a information meeting. We're going to review the current mussel infestation situation and the efforts that the state has undertaken for detection efforts. We'll do a little bit of a discussion about the state boat registration fee program, and then we'll get into discussing what the task force can do as far as its first steps and what we want to do in the future. Then later on, we're going to have a site visit to Clear Lake Bait and Tackle for the committee members to view firsthand the Lake County Mussel Sticker Screening Program. What's involved with that? We have one of our participants has agreed to give the committee members a review of that. So we'll all be up to speed on what Lake County is doing. So basically that's a review, and I think we'll go ahead and go around and do introductions. I'm Gary Hansen. I'm a Water Resources Program Coordinator for Lake County Water Resources.
Chris Lee, I'm with the Salome County Water Agency and one of the coordinating committee members for the West Side RDMP.
My name is Jennifer Lee, and I work for the Yolo County Flood Control and Water Conservation District, and we're one of the representatives with the Water Resources Association.
Just a little bit louder, please.
Yeah, the fan is on, it's hard to hear. I'm sorry.
I'm here on behalf of not only Yolo County Flood Control and Water Conservation District, but also the Yolo County WRA.
Just to let you guys know, we are going to take notes and post them on the West Side RDMP webpage too.
I'm Mark Miller. I work with Lake County Water Resources and manage our water mussel sticker program, inspections and screenings. And we'll be reviewing that for you this morning.
Doug Herron, City of Clear Lake, Public Works. Chuck Davis is in the back. Supporter.
Jeanette Kaczynski, Yolo County, work for the Yolo County Resource Conservation District, and we're serving the coordinator.
My name is Jason Jordan. I'm work for the Bureau of Reclamation at Lake Berryessa and recreation planner and somewhat involved in the invasive mussel program at Lake Berryessa.
Okay.
Why don't we have everyone introduce themselves to me? I invited Ken Davis. He does a lot of survey work for us at Lake Berryessa and Buda Creek, and is overall quite knowledgeable on invasive mussel prevention. He's a class 2 inspector. He teaches all our interns and possibly a lot of fishing groups on our behalf, and just quite a lot of education. So I invited Ken along just to help us brainstorm.
Okay, well let's go through the audience then.
Ken Davis, thank you.
Got your
Suzanne Lyons, I was with the Invasive Species Council and the Lake Advisory Committee.
Lily Adrian Dunlap, and I'm a resident of Lake County and actually a shoreline resident.
Mark Dunlap.
Victoria Brandon for the Sierra Club, and also the California Invasive Species Advisory Committee.
Dan Miller for Lake Oaks County Water District.
Betsy Hahn.
Chuck Davis with the City Public Works.
My name is Heather Nichols, and I work with the Yolo County Resource Conservation District.
Okay, great. First, well, we're down to the second item now, approval of the agenda. And since we really only have one action item, which is the approval of the agenda. If there are any changes, now that I think we're pretty well covered, we got an additional issues item on there, we can bring up stuff. So,
Move to approve the agenda.
okay. Second. All in favor? Now we have item number 3 is public comment. If there are any comments that anyone would like to make, particularly about an item that is not on the agenda, because we'll get to the agenda items and you can comment on those as we go through. Yeah, Mike?
I would like to know how the task force members were selected and when.
Right. Well, I can quickly mention that, and the task force is a spin-off of the coordinating committee. Coordinating committee members are on the task force, plus their staff or agents. So it's a spin-off of the coordinating committee.
So it's exclusionary of members of the public?
No, but it's a coordinating committee, just like it has been for the whole management plan. As far as exclusionary, I wouldn't use that term exclusionary, because public members can come and provide input at every one of the meetings. They're public meetings.
But they're not members of the task force.
They're not members of the coordinating committee. That's right.
So are you saying that the coordinating committee and the task force are one and the same?
Yes. Okay. Item number 4, the overview of the current mussel invasion situation and the state mussel detection efforts. For review of this, I've asked our mussel program manager, Mark Miller, to get into some detail about what he has, the issues. I think most everyone here is very well aware of the quagga mussel problem. So we're not going to go into a lot of detail about what it is and why we're worried about it. What we'd like to do is start talking about the current situation with the quagga mussel invasion and also the state detection aid efforts, which will kind of focus our attention down on efforts that the task force may want to focus on. So Mark, why don't you go ahead?
Good morning. What I'd like to do this morning, for those of you that aren't aware or aren't real familiar with our Lake County program, is kind of lay out for you what we're doing as a county to stop the invasion of the quagga or zebra mussel. I'm going to review what we did fiscal year 2013, give some numbers to you. What I'm looking to get out of this whole group is a way of communicating a little better with the state level. We're hitting a brick wall when we try to get any information out of the state of California, and we'll go into that as I go through this. Lake County set up a program in 2008. They came to the realization that there was a definite possibility that our lake would be infested with quagga or zebra mussels. The reasoning behind that thinking was that we are rated the #2 bass lake in the United States, anywhere between 1 and 3, 1, 2, or 3. We draw boats from as far away as New York. Pretty much every state in the United States sent boats into our lake last year to fish tournaments. It scares the holy crud out of us that these boats could be carrying quagga mussels. You're all aware of how mussels move. They don't fly, they don't swim. They're pretty much set in stone that these things come in on a watercraft. So Lake County Board of Supervisors wrote an ordinance requiring all boats launched in the waters of Lake County to be looked at through a screening program. We have stumbled and bumbled through a program over the 8 years. We made huge strides, in my opinion. We've made huge mistakes. What we would like to do with the counties that are now coming on the programs or looking at bringing on programs is let you guys avoid some of the mistakes that we've made. Like I said, we've had things go right, we've had things gone wrong. We do not have a foolproof program. There is not a foolproof program anywhere in the United States. How we're going to keep them out, in my opinion, is to educate the boating public. They're the ones that's going to keep these mussels out of here. Fiscal year 2013, the County of Lake screened 14,771 votes prior to launch of Clear Lake. Of those 8,192 of them were visiting votes. What we call a visiting vote is any vote that does not reside in the County of Lake. We screened 6,579 resident votes. We charge in Lake County $10 an inspection or a screening for our votes. Of that amount of money, $7 goes back to the retailers, and I'll explain to you how the retailers are involved. The reasoning with the county of giving the retailers $7 a screening is it takes time away from their cash registers. Our retailers consist of marinas, bait shops, hardware stores. All these people that work in these locations have been trained by myself or by Carolyn Rattan, who are both level 2 screeners or level 2 inspectors for the certified by the state. We have 2 level 1 inspectors that are trained on a yearly basis by the state that are also involved in the training. Our program consists of a basic screening, and those of you that are interested, I'll show you what our screening forms are. I know the locals probably know, but there's a couple examples. Basically, all this screening form is it asks basic information: name, mailing address. Take a look at it. I'm going to pass the bunch out. What we're looking at is name, address, CF number, car registration. We're looking for basic information. Line 2 of this, we ask what we feel is the most important question of all. We ask where that boat's been in the last 30 days and where that boat's registered. The reasoning behind that is if quagga mussel is on a boat, the chances, even if the boat is wet, of that surviving more than 30 days are almost nil. So my screeners simply have the boater fill out this form. Their job is to find out where that boat has been in the last 30 days. We give them a list that we update on a monthly basis of what are considered infested counties. We've added a few counties on here that have not found quagga mussels at this point, specifically LA County. The reason for that is that there was a recent find on December 18th at Lake Piru in Ventura County. Quagga mussels. Lake Piru had a program that we used to have and have gotten away from because it didn't work. They proved that it doesn't work. Lake Piru, Diamond Valley, and Lake Castilla had a banding program. They told each other that we're going to screen these boats, and if they're good, we're going to put a band on your boat. You'll be able to travel all 3 of those lakes and not have to be rescreened because we know we're clean. Well, it failed, obviously, because Piru was infested. LA County is now saying, well, Piru is infested, but Pyramid's probably not, and Castilla is probably not. Well, it probably is if they had a banding program and they had infested boats moving between those 3 counties. The big issue with Lake Piru is it's the only water body, well, it's one of 2 water bodies that does not have direct contact with Colorado River drainage, which is where the mussels here on the West Coast have been. So the only way they got into Piru is by moving on a boat. That's what Lake County is trying to stop, and that's what we're hoping the other surrounding counties will assist us in doing. By screening and looking at where those boats came from, it gives us the opportunity to do a hands-on inspection. Once my screener does the screening, if that boat has been in infested waters in the last 30 days, the screener's job's done. All they need to do is make a phone call. I've got a series of 21 trained, state-certified inspectors out there that will come out to that location and do a hands-on screening, or a hands-on inspection, actually looking for the quagga mussel, looking for clean, drained, and dry. As you're aware, quagga mussels in the Bellinger State are microscopic, so if a boat's wet, we're going to decon the boat. We can do that at our county level, and it has been done. We don't do a lot of decons. It gives you a basic idea of what we're looking at out there. I've got a series of 36 screeners, 36 locations where we have screeners. We've got 21 inspectors. We've got a website that we've set up. I will pass out some pamphlets if you guys are interested that kind of explains our program and what we're looking at. This was produced by the County of Lake. Members would like to look at it. It details our program. The website gives the general public an opportunity to go online and find out where in Lake County they need to go prior to launching, so that they can either download this form or at least go to that retailer and get a screen. One other thing that I would like to run by this group is the contacts that I have out in the field. On a monthly basis, I deliver stickers. Our stickers are, in this county, there's a resident sticker, which is this gold one, which is accompanied by a yearly sticker. I happen to have the 213 there this year. We have one updated on a yearly basis that goes to our residents. For the visitor stickers, it's a monthly sticker. It's the blue one with whatever month it happens to be. If you're an out-of-county resident or visitor, we're going to make you screenshot that every time you're here. Betsy?
Yeah, show that to the camera, because this is going to be on YouTube, so people can see the color.
This is the Lake County sticker.
Thank you.
Our resident sticker on this side, our visitor sticker on this side. The resident sticker requires a yearly sticker. The visitor sticker requires a monthly sticker. The biggest issue we're having with this sticker program is the state of California, in their infinite wisdom, last year decided that they wanted to start collecting money for a quagga program. Great idea. Problem being that without knowledge, without input from any county in the state, they decided they were going to come up with a sticker. They produced this sticker. You register your boat this year, you get this fancy little green sticker with a postcard. It's two-sided. I got both sides there.
Two-sided? Oh my God.
Got both sides. Anyway, they came up with a printed postcard that comes with this sticker when you register your boat. It says this sticker is good in any water body in the state of California. Little tiny print right below it, it says excluding other requirements. Well, excluding other requirements did not tell the boating public that they still had to come to Lake County and be screened. They are not screened to receive this sticker. All this sticker says is that you gave the state of California $8. $8 a year, 2-year registration, $16. You're right, Mike. The state of California is now sitting on what I have figured, they won't give me the figures, but 1.5 million boats in the state of California tells me that the state of California is now sitting on $20 million. You ask Fish and Wildlife, what's that money going to be used for? Well, Mark, you're going to have to ask Boating and Waterways. You ask Boating and Waterways, where's that money going? Well, DMV collected it, you'll have to check with them. And I run in this big circle. The plan is to someday have grants available to the counties for counties like Yolo or counties like Napa to set up programs. You ask them when that's going to be available. Well, we're not really sure. We've got to get a consultant in there, and that might take a couple of years. I think you can tell by my tone of voice that I'm real upset about this program. Why did the state step in without any input from the counties? Susan Ellis at Fish and Wildlife stepped out 3 years ago, and said that the state was going to oversee the quagga programs, but at prevention, it's the county's responsibility. They have given me zero help, none. Again, I'm hoping that this group of people can go to the state as one county. As all you know, Lake County is kind of a black sheep of the state. So when I go to Susan Ellis or when I go to the county, you get the Lake County go away attitude. What I'm hoping is by bringing this group together, if we can go to the state as a group, maybe we'll get some response. You know, I can't guarantee that. I am going before Susan Ellis on the board in April, along with my boss, Scott DeLeon, thanks to one of our audience members out there, and kind of plead our case. What we're asking for is simple help from the state. They're out there doing villager tows. They're out there doing substrate inspections. They are doing things at other lakes in this state. However, I can't get that information unless I sit down on the phone on Monday morning and I call Lake Berryessa and I call Lake Mendocino and I call Lake Sonoma and I call Lake Oroville. They're more than glad to give me the information, but there's no central database or website that I can go to and say, well, Berryessa is not a high-risk lake for me because they just had a villager tow 3 months ago and they came up clean. Is Lake Casitas down in Southern California a high-risk lake? I know it's not because they have a 32-day moratorium, or actually, they actually lock boats up for 32 days before they let them launch on that lake. But the state does not give us that kind of information, and that's when we're setting programs up what we need to know. So, enough of my complaining about the state program. I think you get an idea of what we're looking to do here in Lake County. We're trying to slow down the invasion that's moving north. Yes, sir.
2 questions. You alluded to Ventura County, the program didn't work. Is that the sticker program you were
They have a banding program down there,
Banding, okay.
where they actually band the boat to the trailer. If you were to come into Piru, they supposedly screened and inspected your boat.
Okay.
If you were clean, you launched to Piru. When you came out, they put a metal band that would band your boat to your trailer. If you decided the next week you wanted to go to Pyramid, which is in their group, they didn't even look at you. They cut the band and let you launch.
Did that include government boats?
It was all boats.
All boats.
All boats were done that
When
way.
you say you have decontaminated vessels here, do you have that high
We do
pressure?
have, at the
unit?
county level, we do have a decontamination unit that we received with a grant a number of years ago. I've been trained on it, and Scott DeLeon, the head of Water Resources, has been trained on it. We have done decontaminations at the county level. If we were to find a boat that actually had visible quagga mussels on it, I would contact Fish and Game, and they would immediately pick the program over. What we're looking at is high-risk boats. Say we get a boat out of Havasu, which I get a lot of boats come as we move into the bass fishing season, which is just beginning. I'll get boats out of Arizona that'll roll into Lake County, and my screener will look at the form and will say, I was in Havasu 2 weeks ago. They're going to call me. It's within 30 days. They're going to call either myself or one of the other inspectors. Sarah's in the audience. She's one of our inspectors. If we go out and look at that boat and it's not 100% clean, drained, and dry, we're going to require that that boat be deconned whether we see quagga mussels or not. Reason being that the villagers are microscopic. Decon process is a very simple process. It's simple, a hot water wash. 100-degree water will kill these things instantly. So we would go ahead and decon it. That has evolved through, since 2008, having that capability in Lake County. There's screening processes that can be done at lakes like Lake Sonoma, Lake Berryessa. My biggest issue is our surrounding areas. Obviously, most of our boat traffic comes from Solano, Sonoma, Mendocino counties. So if I had a way of knowing that these lakes were clean, we wouldn't be tying all our resources up and looking so closely at these boats. Sarah?
How many boats did you decontaminate in 2013?
We did 9 decons in fiscal 9. We did 183 hands-on inspections. We did 14,000 screenings.
Mark, is that a mobile unit?
It's a mobile unit. It is.
Put it on the back of a truck? or-
Basically, it's on a trailer. It's simply a pressure washer with a burner on it. It's got two 250-gallon tanks, one to hold water to actually spray on the boat. It's set up to also recover water with basically a plastic ballast or swimming pool liner, basically is what it is. We do not use that part of the decon unit because we don't feel comfortable if we can contain that water. But where we do it is at a county yard, has actual sanitary sewer drain. All our water goes into the sanitary sewer, goes through the treatment plant. We don't have an issue. I will not go on site. I've had instances at Napa Vista with Sarah that, why don't we decon out there? My reason for not deconning out there is I don't want runoff. I don't want to decon a boat and have runoff getting any way back into the water source. We're kind of spinning our wheels there. To throw some numbers out at you, just to let you know the cost of our program and what we're making out there. Lake County took in $45,000 in sticker fees last year. At $10 a piece, $7 going to the retailer, $3 going to the state. Of that $45,000, we ran our entire program. That includes buying stickers, paying my salary. I'm a part-time employee for the county. I do 100 hours a month. We were able to finance our program and keep our heads above water. Retailers, on the other hand, did pretty good. I got a retailer that we're going to visit this afternoon that took in $21,000 last year at $7 a sticker, doing 3,100 screenings. So, sir.
The 45,000 was the $3.
That's the $3 rate for at 15, basically 15,000 stickers times $3.
Ask you another question on the decon.
Yes.
Ballpark figure for that unit.
I honestly could not tell you. I've only been with the county 2.5 years. Gary.
I think between 15 and 20,000.
There's still, from what I am told, there are still grants available out there. I believe it was Boating and Waterways that supplied those units back when. I'm not positive.
No,
but that's-
county bought them.
They did buy them?
County bought 4 and
Yes.
kept 1.
We've got one left. We won't go into that too deep. We'll just let it be at that. We would love to have decon units at different locations all around the county. We'd love to have monitoring at every boat ramp in this county. Unfortunately, We're in the neighborhood of 800 launching locations on this lake. We actually did a survey, myself and my coworker, 2 months ago. In fact, I saw Mike out there the day we were doing that survey. We counted every entry point to this lake. What we call an entry point is any place that was a ramp, whether it come from a private home, county ramps. Yes, Betsy?
So you have those GIS points?
Yes, we do.
And you can provide that in a map?
Gary's got that information. We did take a GPS reading on every single ramp on this lake. We started in Lakeport and proceeded all the way around the lake in an airboat. Yeah, I'm sure the county would be able to provide that.
How many of those access points are public accessible?
I do not have that number, Mike. We do have the number. I didn't bring it with me today. Our hope is that we can get a ballot measure through come in June, get some dollars, monitor our county ramps with electronic gates, set up decontamination stations around the lake, which a number of the people in the audience have asked for, set up choke points in the county. I will not go into detail and say yes, vote for it, or don't vote for it. I urge everybody in this audience to please read the proposal this time for the tax measure. Things are broken down much more to the point as to where that, how that money will be used. I'll leave it at that for you guys to make the decision. We could do a lot more with a lot more money. Yes, ma'am?
Information, savethelake.info.
Thank you.
Everything's up there.
With that,
Yeah, okay.
anything you'd like to ask Gary, or?
Yeah, real good, Mark. One of the things that we're really happy to provide to this task force is Mark's knowledge and information that we've gained from the very large number of contacts we have with the voting public. Every month, Mark goes around to all our participants. There are 30 participants, so 30 times every month he's out in the field, plus there's additional visits. Our estimate is probably between 50 and 60 contacts out with the vendors and voting public, probably more than that, every month. So that's a real good number, you know, over 600 contacts a year out there, figuring out what's going on with the community and what issues we're facing. And for example, this issue about the voting registration fees and the confusion that it caused, it certainly was registered through all of our participants. We were able, through Mark's efforts, to educate our participants to be able to pass that information on to the voters. So having an information network like this really magnifies his efforts and the knowledge about what's going on. So that's certainly something that we want to be able to provide to a task force group for other counties to use. Mark in his discussion talked about item number 5 on the agenda, so I think we pretty well covered that. The bottom line is we don't know where that's going yet. So we are hopeful, but we don't really know what's going on. Yes.
I have a couple questions. First of all, how many votes get denied a sticker upon the? You have that data upon
the only vote that
initial.
would be denied a sticker in Lake County is a vote that has visual for the Mussels on it. At that point, I would contact Fish and Wildlife, and they would quarantine the vote. We will not deny anybody a sticker, providing that it's been screened and inspected.
Okay, again, but so someone comes. How many people get elevated to the next level of screening? So if your screener says, hey, you were in one of these infested counties less than 30 days ago, I need to elevate this. How many votes have that status a year? Do you know?
I believe it was 138 hands-on inspections, which are votes that came in, either they were wet.
You said 183.
Thank you. I didn't look back at my notes. That's the hands-on inspections that we did. Their votes were wet. Their votes were dirty. They could have given my screeners. I have instructed my screeners. They're all retail operations, and I've instructed them, you need to take care of business. Your business is selling bait, running your marina, whatever. If you have a hassle from a voter, deny it. I'll come out and I'll deal with it. I've been in retail. My history is 40 years in the retail business. Probably customer service has been my number one thing. I had yet in 2.5 years to actually have anybody get mad to the point where they're, see you later, type of, you know. If you talk to them, our whole program needs to be education. I have yet to find anybody that, once I spent 5 minutes with them explaining the quagga mussel situation, nobody out there wants to invest in it.
And then I know that Fish and Wildlife, formerly Fish and Game, were doing villager tows and also substrate inspections in the lake. And I'm wondering if A, they're still doing that, and B, what the frequency is. And
in Clear Lake, actually throughout Lake County, I've got substrate structures, which is a monitoring tool that we try to put near marinas, every boat traffic areas. Quagga mussel will attach to that. We've got them, I've got 2 at Blue Lakes. I've got, I don't have the number, I believe it's 12 on Clear Lake. I've got them down in Hidden Valley. We've got them up in Pillsbury. I have taken on the challenge because Fish and Game was so hit and miss on checking those structures that I do that at least 3, 4, 5 times a year. Anytime I'm at the boat ramp, I'll reach down and pull up my substrate. I report it to the state twice a year. They ask that I report it. They do download that information to a database. They do villager tows at our request twice a year. We do them in the early spring. What we would assume would be when the quagga mussels were just getting active, because if the water gets warmer, they get more active, their breeding increases. And then we do another one late fall, usually October. That's been ongoing for a number of years. Those results are getting right back to us. It takes 6 to 8 weeks to get the results of the villager tows. However, the information I want is, what are they doing at Berryessa? Are they doing it at Mendocino? Are they doing it at Folsom? The information's out there. If I can find the right biologist with the state to call, they're more than glad to give it to me. But I shouldn't have to spend 8 hours a week calling 17 different lakes in California to find out what the heck's going on.
We'll let you know what's going on in Lake Berryessa.
Well, I've got contacts down there. There hasn't been an issue.
Does monthly surveys for us.
I've probably talked to you on the phone without realizing it.
It's just ridiculous. The state doesn't have this information available for everywhere.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, I mean, Mark has mentioned it, one of the things we'd really like to get a push behind is having some kind of a central clearinghouse for information, where it'd be very easy to, within 24 hours, all this information would be put up on the web. They could easily do that. For example, Lake Piru, tell them about the information with Lake Piru, how long it took for you to hear about this.
Piru has been a nightmare for Lake County. I have contacts out there by making these phone calls. One of my contacts, number one guy, is Bill that runs our state park, California State Park, Clear Lake, out on Soda Bay Road. Piru was found to have quagga mussels in it December 18th. I had a call the afternoon of December 18th from Bill. Hey, we got a discovery at Piru. It hasn't been verified, but I've talked to biologists. They got quaggas or zebras. They didn't know which. They had to go get a DNA sample. I said, great. We put the word out that afternoon. Every screener in Lake County knew that Lake Piru was infested, or there was a very high possibility infested. So we put it on our high-risk list. January 7th, I was notified by Fish and Wildlife. They had quagga mussels in Lake Piru. I called our regional biologist and said, Angie, why did it take 2.5 weeks for you to tell us we had mussels in Piru? Well, they're a long ways away. I said, Angie, they're 9 hours away. They could trailer a boat from Piru to Clear Lake in an afternoon. Why did it take 9? Well, we had to make sure everything was in. It's like, no, you don't have to get everything in line. You need to inform water bodies that there's an issue. 7 days after the find at Piru, Lake County put out a press release, headline, quagga mussels find in Lake Piru alarms Lake County officials. Some kid down in Contra Costa, well, let's just say a Contra Costa County regional water employee read that headline, contacted the 8 regional Bay Area water districts and said, oh my God, Lake County's infested with quagga mussels. They didn't read the article. They didn't know that Lake Piru was not in Lake County. We had massive phone calls. We had a massive scare. what the heck happened in Lake County? You got quagga mussels? No, we do not have quagga mussels. Had the guy taken the time to read the article or known his geography of the state of California, it never would have happened. But the thing that was fantastic about that is that we had 9 water districts in the Bay Area in 30 minutes shut down all boat traffic from Clear Lake. Obviously, we cleared it up with very little hassle within a day. But that's the kind of reaction that we'd like to see on a statewide basis, is that when there is a fine, get the word out there and let's stop these boats from moving from lake to lake to lake that are infested. And I'm sorry, Betsy, I know you're waiting. Go ahead.
Okay. I just want to tell you, if you go to Google and you sign up for Google alerts on quagga mussel, you get them every day. And that's how I found out about Lake Peru in the middle of December from the Ventura Sun reporter. But I wanted to ask you, what happened to the voluntary substrate monitoring project that was funded by the Fish and Wildlife Committee? Where
we have substrate structures. I have all the
not
materials.
just yours, I'm talking about the ones that...
That's what I'm talking about. I have all the materials to put those structures together. We felt that the springtime would be the time to launch that program. I have Sea Scouts set up to actually put the structures together because I thought that would be a great educational tool. Our program, and my thought is, education is the #1 thing. We're going to have the Sea Scouts actually put those structures together, and they will be available to anybody around the lake that would like to put one on there, well, up to 50, that's what I've got. I can foresee a ton of work coming from me because everybody gets a panic until they understand. We will train people as to what to look for. I will be fielding phone calls left and right when it first starts up, and we felt that the springtime was the time to do that. And thank you for that money. It will be put to good use. Sarah?
I'm concerned about the percentages of decons and inspections that have happened with the total number of boats that you say came in 2013. You know, several of us are familiar with the percentages of previous years, and it seems to, I mean, the fact that only 183 inspections out of 14,000 boats or so, you gave a few different numbers of totals, but that's a little over 1%. And looking back at previous years, I know, you know, every boat is supposed to be, if it's high risk, it's supposed to be inspected.
Not necessarily.
Well,
high-risk boats can come in 45 days. I had a boat last week from Havasu that hadn't been in the water since November, and I didn't feel I needed to inspect a boat that had been high and dry for 4 months. I will look at all boats that have been in infested waters in the past 30 days. That's how my screeners are trained.
The thing is that not every screener calls, you know, the screeners at Canocta Vista often call me because I'm an inspector.
Exactly.
There, right?
There's 21 inspectors out there. I'm not the only inspector.
Right.
You get the calls, you've done inspections for me. Carolyn's done inspections.
So what I'm saying is that it's just, are you reviewing?
I'm reviewing every single form that comes through on a monthly basis.
Okay.
I go out, I deliver my stickers, which I did last week. I've got a pile of screening forms right like this on my desk this morning that I would be reviewing this morning, but I felt this was more important to do. I will review every single one of these. Your casino last year was shut down for 7 days because we found issues with screenings. If I have a retailer that I find issues with, I'll shut them down. I shut down a retailer last year. We totally took them off the program because of the issues. You know the issues that happened out of Canocta Vista. What happened is Canocta Vista reacted. They brought me back out. We retrained with Sarah's input. We made sure they understand the program. I will not let a retailer, I mean, there's going to be mistakes. This is not a foolproof program, as you all know. What this is a tool, and I guarantee that we're looking and checking more boats than any other lake in Northern California. I am not going to sit here and tell you we're foolproof. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you it's 100%.
So in terms of the percentages changing so much, I mean...
Sarah, I don't know how many, what can I tell you? I don't care about percentages. I don't care about anything but my screeners looking at these boats, and I will react to the boats that I feel are high risk. You will react as an inspector. I can't tell you why the percentages are what they were. I can't tell you where these boats are coming from other than what I see here. You know this is not a perfect tool. There's nobody in this audience that knows this program that thinks this is a perfect tool. If nothing else, this is an educational tool. My feeling on this program, and you've all heard me voice it from day one, is we're at least out there trying to do something.
Would you show the camera?
I'm not going to argue with the Betsy Cons of the world. There's very few people in this county that Betsy hasn't gone after, but I tell you what, since day one that I met Betsy, she and I work great together. Sarah, you've had issues with people in this county. Mike's had issues with people in this county. But every one of you, Suzanne, has had issues with people in my department. I'm not here to defend water resources. I'm not here to fight with any of you. I get along with every one of you. I have worked super well with every one of you. I want to continue that. Betsy and I have a great relationship. Sarah and I have a great relationship. I've only worked with Suzanne on a couple of issues. We've worked great together. The issue in Lakeport last year with the screener.
I don't remember working with you. I never got a hold of you.
You did get a hold of me. We were emailing back and forth. I've worked with Mike. We're not trying to say our program is 100%. I want you people to give me all the input, give me all the ideas to improve this program. How can we make it better? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, my question is, when you did find that these forms were not satisfactory, what follow-up to the actual generation of the information was done?
My first follow-up was with a phone call.
Not to the vendor, I'm coming back to the actual, was this boat really, did it need inspection? Was there a problem there, or was it just that it wasn't signed right?
There's issues on, it's not filled out right. I work directly with my screeners. I do not go to the boater. At that point, the boat's been launched in our lake.
Right.
What can I do? I can't pull that boat out of the lake, because I can, but what good's it going to do? It's in the lake. If it's infested, we're in trouble. I work directly with the screener. As soon as I have an issue, I go to that screener. We retrain, we shut them down, we do whatever we need to do to correct that problem.
If there were a potential that the boat had been launched and it was from a high-risk area and it was a high-risk vessel, then at least you could accelerate your inspection at that point of the water. You could do some early detection or something. Do we have a plan to respond?
By all means, we could re-inspect that boat, but what I'm telling you is once that boat's in the water, it's too late.
But do we have any plan to test that if you have that risk? Well,
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you're asking me to test.
Testing the water, she's talking about.
Yeah, testing the water.
Not the boat, the water.
No, we do not.
Right.
We do not have the funds for me to do Veloger tows every time there's something like that put into our lake. We do not have the ability. I do not have the training or the education to do that. Yes, Mike?
Can I interject something?
By all means.
All right. Mark, you and I have worked together.
Yes, we have. We butted heads and we work together, and I like that.
Successfully?
Very well.
Okay. We're not here, quite frankly, to hear you say that we, the plural, don't have the funds. That's a question of whether or not the Board of Supervisors is willing to allocate funds for specific things. This county has money.
Okay.
That's not an issue.
I do not have
You don't have the allocation
to do an immediate Veloger tow every time a boat hits our lake.
I came here this morning because this is a new task force. This group is supposed to be informed about what's happened in Lake County to this date and what we can do to improve the program and make it beneficial for ourselves and for them. That's all I want to hear about. I don't want to hear about all this other stuff, please. Can we move on in this process? Gary, are you the chair?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Can we
Gary doesn't want to take any more questions,
that?
that's fine with me. I'm trying to answer the questions.
We'll take a couple more questions. One more.
Up to you. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Mark, in this brochure, it says that report violators to Sheriff Central Dispatch. Okay, I tried to do that, as you know, and nobody was there. Now, on weekends, on Sundays, on days when people are likely to be out on the lake, as a matter of fact, I think there was a tournament that weekend. When you call this number, is there a way of actually knowing whether you're even getting anybody to go? Because the first time I
cannot
called...
speak for the Sheriff's Department. I can tell you from my experience, we do have a new sergeant on the lake. Sergeant Don McPherson is now running the Marine program. I haven't had nothing but 100% support. I cannot answer that because I can't speak for the Sheriff's Department. That would have to go to Sheriff Rivero or somebody with the Sheriff's Department. I can tell you with my experience, they've been very supportive.
But you don't have like a schedule that says they're there or they're not there?
That would be handled by the Sheriff. I don't schedule.
Actually would be there if they weren't there?
You'd have to contact the Sheriff's Department to
And
get
this, okay.
I'm sorry,
And
I
the
don't
second
have
part
that.
of the question is, have those signs been changed that gave the wrong information? on the ramps that gave the wrong information about who to call and what the ordinance was. Because they were wrong as of a year ago in my report on a major ramp.
I'm not sure what you're referring to as to being wrong, but maybe.
They didn't have the
clarify.
right, they didn't have the right ordinance, the ordinance had been changed, and they didn't have the right.
They did have a county ordinance on them. They
It
had a
was
phone
wrong.
number for the sheriff's department. I don't know what more you would want, Betsy.
Mark, I'll send you the copy of the report I provided you, fact that Gary has a copy of, that showed the pictures of all the signs that, for the most part.
Are we really here
incorrect.
to,
So we
I
just need
mean,
to
that's not
update
what this
those.
task force, I don't believe, was set up to do, was solve all the problems of Lake County, and I think maybe that should become back to me on a one-on-one, and I will work with you on it.
The fact that law enforcement isn't part of this, the fact that the DA's office isn't part of this, the fact that it's not integrated in the system to take care of this lake is what's wrong with this picture here. This is
Okay.
compartmentalized to your sticker program. We've got to have law enforcement. We've got to have the district attorney to help us figure out how we're going to make this work.
Betsy, this presentation this morning is to basically inform the other counties what's being done in Lake County.
Well, then let's make sure they understand what's happening and what isn't.
Well, let me just jump in here. On one hand, there's a request that we move on, and on the other hand, we're getting down into the details of Lake County specific issues that have been hashed over before.
Not
And
with
we would
these
be happy
people.
to deal with them, in a separate
What I
form.
hope these task force members can take from this is that you can see that we have an evolving program. We have hurdles. We will continue to have hurdles, and hopefully when and if you guys start a program, we'll let you jump some of these hurdles that we're going on and on. The input from citizens, from the Betsy's, from the Mikes, from the Suzannes, from the Joe Blow down the street. I do take all that input in, and I will work to all ends to solve these problems. It's not a perfect program, it never will be.
Okay. We'll take all that and take this information into the next agenda item, which is to strategize the task force first steps. Just as a general discussion about what I think, as far as a regional group, a regional task force can do, which is trying to, the main function of the regional effort is to get everyone, is to provide information exchange between all the coordinating committee members and all the involved agencies, and to get synergy from making sure that we have good information exchange across between all the parties. In that, just to kick this off, I think probably the first thing that we want to do would be to get a regional effort to request from the state agencies that they ramp up their efforts for dealing with the funds that have been collected from for specifically for a mussel program for the boat registration fees. We request a clearinghouse, a central clearinghouse for all quagga mussel sightings, all the lake testing that has been done, so that we have one location on a website where we can go and we can see what lakes have been tested, when they've been tested for veligers, what sightings have been made, whether they're confirmed or not. We need to know these things. So that would be another information request from the state to do that. And provide an early warning system to all the counties who have to deal with inspection programs, have to deal with lake inspection. So there's a network that allows this information to be quickly exchanged. And I think also regarding efforts that this committee can do is also promote a more comprehensive inspection program by the state at their inspection stations that are at the borders. That is run by the California Department of Food and Ag, so it's different from Fish and Wildlife. but I think we should also push for comprehensive inspection program. So those are my main things that I would like to have in this group, and I would open it up to further ideas and discussion.
One of the things I see here that's going to be a common thread amongst all our counties is the lack of jurisdiction, being able to enforce anything, and early on, Mark said education is the most important thing, and I wholeheartedly agree. For this region and for any type of program that we put in place, we're going to have a concerted message that we tell everyone. It's got to be the same message. They got to know exactly what's going on. But tying into it, the state, frankly, I'm not too thrilled with the state either. Them keeping up with all the information is probably going to take an effort on our part to make sure that we're collecting all that information and putting it somewhere central so that each of us can use it and maybe supplement what the state's telling us, because who knows how often they're going to be updating things. But when we're looking at this from a regional-wide perspective, I think education is going to be the key. We're going to have to figure out how we can educate everyone within this entire region, all these different water bodies with all these different agencies involved, and basically with no jurisdiction whatsoever to do anything. So it's going to be tough, but I think education is going to be the key. And I
A
think
little bit of coordination of the counties. I do things, I'm going to a boat show over in Sacramento this weekend, set up a little table. I go to different events around there, like we've got Catfish Derby, we've got this derby, we've got that derby, we've got, I make an effort to get out there, set up, simply passing this out.
Yeah, exactly.
Talking to people like we're doing this morning. If we could do that on a regional basis, what's going on at various, what's going on in Solano County, whatever, and just, if we can just, the more people we can educate, the better off we're going to be. I don't know, I know the hope is that the state will get involved. From what I've seen with the state the past 2 years, I think we're throwing mud at a wall and it's going to stick, and you guys are going to be along with Lake County as being the black sheep. They don't want to hear it. They react instead of having a proactive approach. There's a reactive approach in the state. We're seeing involvement from the federal government a little bit now. Some of the senators and stuff are doing a little bit of stuff. But anytime you're working with that kind of a bureaucracy, it seems to be a 2-year process. Try to get a permit to do anything on this lake, and you got to go through the Army. You got to go through water resources. It's what can we do on a regional basis? Maybe I think to educate would be a great thing.
Another question. I just would like to hear from Solano County in terms of what efforts are going on there, and with respect mostly to Lake, and I'm not sure if this actually works because Lake Berryessa is under federal jurisdiction.
It's complicated.
Right. So I don't know if you could
Jason,
briefly.
Would you talk a little bit about your program?
Yeah, I can give a brief overview. So Solano County Water Agency has the water contract. Bureau of Reclamation manages the reservoir and the land, and then we also
And the recreation, correct?
And the recreation,
Okay.
yes. Most of the recreation is through concessionaire contracts. And so there are now 5 ramps at Lake Berryessa. One is managed directly by Reclamation, the other 4 by concessionaires. So do you want me to just briefly explain the inspection program?
Yes, what, in terms of boaters accessing Lake Berryessa, what's the general program to try to keep invasive species out? And then also, I do know that there's New Zealand mud snails there, right?
In Poudre Creek.
In Poudre Creek, but not Lake Berryessa?
Correct.
Okay. So, okay, yeah.
So we have on our website, we have a self-inspection program similar to this, but not quite as comprehensive. There's obviously no fee. In addition, at the concessionaire managed launches, they do either self-inspection or go through it's like Mark said, the main question is where have they been launched in the last 30 days? At our reclamation managed launch is a combination of our park rangers and interns hired by Solano County Water Agency in the summer, mostly in the summer, to get the peak visitation. Primarily education. Every bass tournament that comes up is the state now, Fish and Wildlife has a requirement with every permit that they issue to do a level of education and inspection. I haven't personally witnessed it.
It's very minimal, very minimal. What the state is telling them is that they have to have their state sticker. They don't elaborate on county issues. I have taken it upon myself to hit our big bass tournaments on the lake because I am very unhappy with what the state's doing. We've got a big Chamber of Commerce tournament coming up mid-April. I will be there. Obviously, doing as many tournaments we do at Killer Lake, I can't be on the wall. But the state just is not given a whole lot of support to our program. Now, maybe it's different in your county. And if it is, then, that's the kind of stuff we want to know too.
No, it's no different. It's the same statewide.
A lot of smoke.
A lot of smoke.
Mark, can I make a suggestion? Because we talked about
Yes,
this a
ma'am.
long time ago with tournaments. With tournaments, these people pay a lot of money to be in the tournaments. I know that Terry Knight, who is a reporter who does fishing game reporting up here locally, said that if the tournament sponsors would not let you weigh in if you weren't inspected. In other words, if you got to weigh in and you couldn't show that your boat had a sticker, that you weren't in the game anymore, he said nobody would do that.
Late by that.
Well, it's
Tell you
too
what,
late,
will you do me a favor though?
but excuse me, but what he's saying is, they're not gonna go and pay their money to be in a tournament if they can't do the weigh-in. So that's how
You gotta
you
get them
sell.
before the tournament.
Right, but the tournament has to let them know that they can't do.
Exactly, and I do that communication. Let me give you one of my cards, okay? You can contact me at any point. I just hate to drag this task force meeting down to local issues, and by all means, call me with ideas. Sure.
Suzanne, what we do down here in Clear Lake, what I've been trying to do last month is get a whole fishing game, Fish and Wildlife, and identify, they put out their list of all tournaments in Clear Lake this year. I'm trying to find out which ones are coming in down here in Redbud. What we like to do is we get a hold of the directors and make sure that they let all the people that participate in their event, that they need to go through this inspection, whether they're getting a hold of Mark or getting a hold of Chuck, who represents the city of Clear Lake. This year it's been kind of difficult. We're not getting the information that we want. I've seen the list of tournaments on the lake, but I can't identify which one's going to be in Redbud. Because Redbud hosts most of the tournaments throughout the year.
What's happened with Clear Lake this year is
we have a big tournament coming up in March. This month we got the Bass Masters, one of those, which I just saw on TV last night on ESPN.
What's happened this year is as Lake Folsom and Lake Oroville have dropped in water levels and Lake Shasta has dropped in water levels, the tournaments over there are freaking out. And at the last minute, they're getting the Fish and Wildlife approval to come on over to Clear Lake, which is a great thing for us. We want that business. But when you go to the website, you're not getting all the tournaments. And then again, Coursera and Knockdown Vista's got tournaments canceling because they don't think they can launch, which is not true, but that's what's happening this year at Clear Lake. Things are just all jumbled up. They're letting extra tournaments in, they're canceling tournaments. But again, let's you and I or anybody in the audience that it is, let's work with the county on that. And let these guys get this part going.
You have tournaments in Berryessa?
Yes.
And maybe you could talk a little bit about how you handle the tournament, the prep for, making sure that the tournament participants know about the mussel issues.
Oh yeah, I mean, the fishing community, I would say, is by far one of the more educated communities because they face very levels of inspection or education everywhere they go. But they're also one of the bigger risks because they go, so many different places. But so, in addition to fishing games, education, they issue a permit to go wherever they go out of. And in their letter, they have to, we tell them to go through our self-inspection program. In addition to, if they're going to one of the concession areas, then they would go through, their inspection program. But no, it's not there's no mandatory inspection program at Lake Berryessa.
And also, is it coordinated at all with Lake Folsom, which is also under the Bureau's jurisdiction?
It's coordinated with Lake New Melones, which is also under our area office, but Folsom Lake, for one, they're not going to have any tournaments because they're not going to have any water this year. But the recreation is managed by state parks through a management agreement. So reclamation manages recreation at New Melones and Lake Berryessa directly at Folsom Lake, and many other reclamation projects, it's through a managing partner, state parks or Forest Service, Park Service.
I receive phone calls from voters sometimes, and one of the things that I don't blame them for being frustrated, but they'll call me up and they'll want to launch at Indian Valley and want to know what they need to legally launch a boat at Indian Valley. And I tell them that your boat needs to be screened. And well, how do I do that? Well, we do have an employee, but she is up there 5 days a week. And I tell them you cannot. She's a very conscientious screener, but she's not up there all the time. And I tell them you cannot count on her being there, and that means you need to go down to Clear Lake. And they're coming over from Sacramento or Yolo County someplace. And actually I don't have the stickers, but I could screen them. But
and I'll give you a list right there.
No, I have got this list and I've got the website and
right
everything.
On top, we'll come out to you. Conrad and Mark will come out and demonstrate.
Well, the fact of the matter is that it's this lack of coordinated effort between the counties. I would love to see somebody in, sometimes they're coming from the Calusa side, and they're gonna be, so there is, for the voter, I tell them, I say, fish, spend the day.
Within the county, is that what you're
Our
thinking
first
about?
screener
Having
is coming to the
screeners
county.
within the county that these people could go to before they even leave for?
Yeah, because right now I tell them, spend the day fishing in Clear Lake, because it's.
They basically have to come into the lake. They have to come into
You're
the
thinking
city
maybe
of
we
Clear Lake
could
or come out of
deputize
the
some screeners out in other locations that would be available?
The issue that we're facing, not only working as a group of counties,
Sort of satellite
is
screeners?
the lakes. I mean, I've got Clear Lake here. We've got Indian Valley up there that's Yolo County, and we got Berryessa, which is PG&E.
PG&E.
And then we got Mendocino right down the street with Army Corps of Engineers. So we're not only going to deal with county by county trying to work together, we're going to have, Department of Reclamation, State Park, PG&E, all these different groups that maintain all these different lakes. It's going to have to somehow be brought into this group to, if we're going to get the information that we want out there,
But Jason, what do you think, what's your thought about what could be done in addition to what you're doing already that would make things better on Berryessa as far as reclamation goes?
Oh, I mean, there's many things that could improve if funding is there. And like Mark said, it takes coordination. Right now, reclamation has no law enforcement capability. You guys have the ordinance here in Lake County that allows the sheriffs to cite. So that gives incentive to voters. Without something like that, there's no incentive.
That would be a Solano County?
No, it'd be Napa County. I was hoping Jeff would be here from the county.
I have to say, Jeff sent me an email. He had something he had to do this morning, so he couldn't make it.
Yeah, well, just like everyone else, we like to pass the buck, so it's Napa County's problem.
Right.
We have no jurisdiction over Lake Berryessa. The Bureau has no law enforcement arm, so we would have to work closely with County of Napa to try to get some ordinance in place to make it illegal to move the mussels or to launch in Berryessa, which is completely within Napa County. And then also have some funding mechanism to have the sheriffs enforce that ordinance. So we have neither of those right now. So that's something
spreading the enforcement capability to our neighboring counties would be a good goal for us to work on.
And also I agree on the consistency of the message throughout the region in terms of a regional approach to the problem is to have the same message given to people throughout the watersheds.
We don't want to see 7 different counties or 5 different counties with all different ordinances that don't, you know, I look at our ordinance and I put it up against the top ordinance, it's like a night and day.
Yeah, that's,
And
I've got all
put it
that
up against
yeah.
the Ventura County ordinance and it's a whole different critter.
So
if
we're
we're gonna do
looking at
something
them all,
on a region,
what would be your optimal ordinance?
I think like, no.
Well, no, I think that's a good model.
My idea would be to come up with a plan. I know our board is very open to working with us on changes. We've made some changes just recently on the enforcement end in the past couple of years is how we could get the sheriff's department to enforce our county ordinance. However, getting the state to be involved, we tried to simplify it last year by going.
Well, this leads right into the fact that we need to work on getting the state to do the enforcement
If
also.
there was some kind of, there
I mean,
is no state law.
They can do some state level stuff, but.
There's a state law that says they have to have this pretty little green sticker, but that hasn't been signed into law yet.
There's language in Fish and Game Code that makes it illegal to transport.
Right.
But there's, 60 wardens for the entire state, so you're not going to get them out. It's going to be the local sheriffs.
Getting the state to enforce county ordinances is a difficult.
Yeah, them actually coming on board and enforcing, we have found it.
They're just spread too thin. They're just spread too thin.
Right. Okay. Well, we're getting some good information here. It's all going into the notes so we can chew on it later. Think about what our next steps are going to be. Yes?
I just had a quick question. Do you guys have any data of how often the sheriff cites boats on the lake without the sticker?
Yeah, our
I'll make a
citations.
quick little statement that our sheriff got very discouraged because of the way it was being handled at the judicial level. He'd write a citation and the courts wouldn't deal with it. We tried to make some adjustments to that by going to an administrative citation, which would be just within the county, being handled by our department. We ran into brick walls with the state not being willing to enforce that. The county was willing to do it, but we couldn't get local law enforcement. Doesn't have, by legal means, they can't enforce what we're calling an administrative citation, which is basically a traffic ticket. It would be similar to that. The city of Clear Lake couldn't actually go out and do the enforcement with that. The city of Lakeport could not do it. We've run into brick walls on finding a way to actually get our district attorney at the county level to enforce once the issue is written. There has not been a lot of tickets written.
But the capability is there. I mean,
the capability
we
is
do
there.
have a
Getting the
capability
follow
for it.
through is a whole other problem.
And you know, getting people's attention, I mean, it would be a good, well, that's really a local issue, but I'm sure it spreads out to just what we're talking about. Other counties have, I mean, the enforcement question is certainly something we need to put on the agenda.
Do you know, Mark, up at Lake Tahoe, or Ken, do you even know any of these other counties that have these ordinances in place, are they actually getting some enforcement in other counties?
The thing that's happened at Tahoe that I have found just by talking to people up there is that there's a group up there called the Tahoe Conservancy. It's a group of citizens, and that's where the pressure's coming from. It's coming from the concerned citizens that Tahoe's world's a little different than ours. In Tahoe, you don't want to be one of the bad guys, one of the resorts that let somebody in. We don't always see that in Lake County, and I'm sure in your counties you're going to see the same thing. There are resort owners that really they don't care.
Yeah, we have that.
Yeah, everybody does. Unfortunately, you look at Tahoe though, on the other hand, and that they want to be in that little cliquey, they want to be the good guys. So it's a whole different world what they're dealing with up there than what we're dealing with down here. How we solve that, I honestly don't know. We have so much just summer.
We may need to look at that from an administrative standpoint, from the ordinance, how you actually have teeth there, so your local courts will upheld any kind of citation.
Any other first step issues, main issues? I think, you know, we're talking about things we can do right away here. I have, and part of our charge from the project that's in the plan is to look at, look at future funding. But that really is something that's down the road a ways, and we'll see what happens with our Measure L that's coming along here in June. That may be a very great help to us, or, we may not. But getting funding for this, I think, the first step is to go after a known source of funding, which are the boat registration fees, and what's going to happen with that. I mean, we really should push on that.
Well, that and the IRWP money.
Oh, yes, that's
guaranteed money
right.
as well.
Right.
And
We also have.
put a real project in.
Yes, we need to work on getting a real project in to go in for the round 3 of the IRWP, or rather, Prop 84 funding. Yes.
I'm trying to summarize the first step, so I wanted to, if it's okay, just to read some of these back.
Sure.
And make sure that everybody's on the same page. So what I've been hearing is identifying enforcement issues in each county as a step. Coming to a consensus on county ordinance language or message. Identifying coordination needs between the counties. Describing the information exchange that's needed. Describing early warning structure that is needed. And defining implementation needs, what monies and who needs to be involved, and then tying that into identifying that future funding for implementation. So
Yeah, that sounds like a good list. Plenty on our plate. Does anybody else have any? Yeah.
So Mark described the surveillance that goes on for detection in the county of Lake. And I'm kind of, one of the things that should be on the list is describing what is going on in the coordinating counties, Yolo, Napa, Solano, and what the other coordinators are doing in terms of detection and spotting the weaknesses there.
That's where I can tell you what we're doing in Solano, or Lake Berryessa, really, which is Napa County, but the effort, let's give just a brief overview of what we do beyond what Jason said about the inspections.
Chris's agency has been really involved since '05, developing a monitoring program for the Solano project, which is Lake Berryessa, Puget South Canal, and some small reservoirs down towards Cordelia. Part of that, I wrote a report, it's about 8 pages, this lady had back here, that outlines what we do. Initially, I am an aquatic biologist, so I had all the skills and experience to do plankton surveys. So we realized initially it was going to be a significant amount of time to get samples and get them off to whomever, University of Oregon at that point, or Michigan. In some cases, it took 6 months to get an answer. So we started doing our own plankton surveys, which I process that day. The Bureau does, I think, one a year in the lake. I do them usually every month on the docks, because that's where I think an infestation is going to start, not in the middle of the lake, but on the docks. So I take them, working with the Bureau and the marinas, take plankton samples, and we have devices hanging on all the marinas, move them around. Those are checked once a month. And probably one of the biggest things, we've had a couple opportunities. Unfortunately, during the drought, the water level goes down. It's given me a great opportunity to go check the banks. I noticed through the Google alerts that Lake Powell has been there's an infestation, there's not an infestation. Which means, once you find one, it's like, okay, it's probably there. Their water level is down, so this week they came out and said, oh yeah, they're all over the banks at lower level, which I think we all kind of do. But so we have a really active program in Lake Berryessa in concert with the Bureau, in the Puget South Canal and the small reservoirs down through Cordelia. And that also gives me, I should point out, it's been really effective. I wear a shirt, big yellow shirt that has mussel inspection on the back of it. So whenever I'm on the docks, I have that on for a bunch of reasons. But people will see that, boaters, anglers, well, they always come talk to me. They'll talk to me almost universally. They'll stop me and say, are you finding them? What can we do? I mean, so it's a really great way of getting people involved.
And we have all our interns up at the marinas. We have special shirts so that people know what's going on there. not everyone wants to get their boat inspected. Again, we have no jurisdiction, but the more you can let people aware that you guys, you know about these things, the more education, the better.
One quick question I got for you is, I was told by a state biologist last week that any lake in California that wants to do a bellet or tow, they would do free analysis through UC lab. But have you heard that? Or?
I've been told the Fish and Games Lab in Bodega Bay will do free ones. I think you have to take them. You have to get the sample yourself, which means you have to have the net.
I know I've got a guy up there at Tulsa who's doing belliger tows, but he's got them in his refrigerator. And I said, well, why do you got them in your refrigerator for? Well, I don't know what to do with them. So I just didn't know if you guys had been involved in that at all. Or
I prefer to do my own. I have the guy's phone number if you want me to get it to you, the guy at the lab.
Okay. As far as Berryessa, anything additional you'd like to talk about?
No, I'm mostly gathering information here. We have, our regional office in Sacramento, obviously, is we have a regional mussel coordinator who has plans, infestation plans. Our area office does monitoring, and so I'm just here to see, what the questions are and pass that up.
The Bureau just recently put up some signs and some movable billboards, so we're getting a little more word out there. Again, it's just none of us have any jurisdiction to really do anything. It's such a tough thing, but we're all trying. We're all trying.
Okay. All right. Any other?
Gary?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to go back a little bit. There is, as Mark mentioned, going to be an opportunity to make a kind of a public ask to the state next month. And I think it would be a lot stronger if it comes from this coordinated group rather than just Lake County. But it would also help a lot to really condense what is being asked in a little series of bullets, because they aren't going to want to read a lot of stuff. And I've identified, I think, 5. One is to accelerate the availability of this funding that we were all hoping was going to help local programs instead of just having to sit there. A central clearinghouse for information, an early warning system, more comprehensive inspections at the food and agriculture stations, and they will absolutely be at that meeting. And the other one would be to improve the materials which were included with these state stickers so they aren't undercutting local programs and implying that local programs are no longer valid.
Okay, well, great. That's a really good
But I really
list.
hope, Mark, you can get that written up and get it to us in advance.
no problem.
I would have to say, I don't know about, I'm sure that the individual coordinating committee members, agencies can provide that. Each of them can provide that request. I don't know if we can get together and do a task force ask, but we can certainly get the word out to all the coordinating members and have them provide their input.
It would help to be able to say.
Right,
Just the fact that the
joint
board
letters are a little
members-
tough, but the individual groups can do it.
Even not even a joint letter, but to be able to say that the coordinating committee met and discussed all this and just consensus, these are the important ways to.
Issues that
We'll certainly try to do that, but I'm sure we can do it separately. Okay, anything else?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions, please. First of all, we don't need to go into it right now, but I would really appreciate if you guys would give consideration to a very low-cost investment in upgrading those signs around our lake, because they're all out of date, uninformative. Some of them are just in the wrong place. I did give that report. I'll be glad to send that to you, Mark. It just undermines our sincerity of trying to communicate to the public on this. But a much larger issue is a natural hazards mitigation plan. I'd like to know why we can't ask for the guaga mussel, zebra mussel, fatal infestation type of impact on our critical water supplies, not to be considered to be a hazard that requires mitigation. Maybe ask FEMA to help us. I mean, these are going to affect every person that lives here, all the wildlife, every damn thing that matters in these water bodies. And that, to me, is a major disaster. So I'd like you guys to consider that.
Okay, we'll put that on our list.
Thank you.
All right. Yes, Mike?
I'm going to sort of mirror comments. Because this is a new body and represents a new body, the WIRMP, I know, for example, the Bureau has to act politically correct and cannot overstep their bounds of authority and go to the federal government outside of their department. But this group has no reason why it couldn't communicate with John Garamendi, who is responsible for this lake, and who happens to live on the Delta. And so if this lake gets contaminated, is going to be the recipient of quagga zebra mussels. And he happens to be a boat owner and might wonder where his $16 from. So this group could ask for his assistance in getting the state off the dime to do that sort of stuff. Also, I haven't heard anybody say anything about improving the plan, which even Mark admits is not a foolproof plan. Some of us characterize our plan as a sieve. I happen to live on the lake. I happen to be able to see boats that don't have stickers on them, that are participating in tournaments. I know it goes on. I also happen to know that, you know, the sergeant in charge of our boat patrol is on family leave. The other two individuals are on 900-hour employees for the year. So on Sunday, there's nobody out there, period. You know, we had a tournament this weekend, there was no lake patrol. So it doesn't make any difference whether you call dispatch or Marine or whoever. The enforcement issue is an issue, but I'm much more interested in seeing this body, you know, come together and coordinate to create a request to, or a demand to the state and the federal government that they work either themselves or in conjunction with this group to protect the public trust. That lake is a public trust. Yeah, and there's public trust law. Gary, you're a lawyer, you know this. You know, there.
Well, I think what you're saying, Mike, is something that is certainly what we've been talking about here, which is, I mean, one of our powers that we do have. We don't have a lot of money, but we certainly have a telephone or an email, and we can certainly call the state representatives and state agencies and make our concerns known, which I think is something that we all need to do. I mean, that's absolutely.
You guys have the power of thought. You know, use it.
Yeah, right. It's an important point. And I think we have to magnify our. I mean, we have information. We don't have a lot of money, but we got information and we got the ability to be a squeaky wheel. So I think we should use it. Okay.
Well, what happened next?
We made our way down through 6. 7, I think we pretty well covered 7 additional issues we've talked about. We'll get down to 8 because we want to get out to our site visit. The discussion for the next meeting date and location, I would just say that, I mean, I know with the coordinating committee, we've gone to different locations all around. We probably need to doodle poll this and make sure, you know, we'll get our minutes out, we'll get our issues crystallized, and then we'll doodle poll and see where we want to meet. If we want to come back here, that's certainly, certainly fine. But we can certainly meet in the other coordinating committee member areas, their meeting sites. So just to cover that, we'll just deal with that within the next week or 2. Okay, now we're down to number 9, which is site visit to Clear Lake Bait and Tackle. Now, what we have for this item is the committee will leave here and travel to Clear Lake Bait and Tackle, where Mark has contacted them, and they have graciously agreed to provide basically a little seminar on how they do their inspections and handle their sticker issuing, do their screening, I should say screening, and handle the stickers and the issues that come up. So we are more than encouraged to ask them questions and do whatever else we need. But now we will leave here and head on over to Clear Lake Bait and Tackle.